There are moments when you make a decision and only later realize you never really made it. You said yes because you felt guilty. You agreed because you didn't want someone to be disappointed. You believed something because everyone around you believed it. You changed your mind because someone made you question yourself. And sometimes, you don't even notice it happening. Because manipulation rarely walks into your life wearing a sign that says, "I'm manipulating you." It can arrive as kindness, as concern, as friendship, as confidence, as a compliment. Sometimes, it doesn't even sound like pressure. It sounds like your own thoughts. And that's where things get interesting. Because if you want to understand manipulation, you don't just need to understand other people. You need to understand your own mind. Let's start with something important. Not every attempt to influence you is manipulation. Your friend convincing you to watch a movie isn't manipulation. A teacher encouraging you to study isn't manipulation. Someone giving you advice isn't automatically manipulation. Influence is part of being human. The problem begins when someone tries to control your decision by exploiting your emotions, vulnerabilities, or lack of information. And here's the uncomfortable part. You don't have to be naive to be manipulated. You don't have to be unintelligent. You don't have to be weak. You just have to be human. Because humans have predictable psychological needs. We want to belong. We want approval. We want certainty. We don't like rejection. We don't like feeling guilty. And we especially don't like feeling like we've made the wrong decision. Someone who understands these weaknesses can sometimes push the right psychological button. And suddenly you're moving in a direction you never intended to go. That's why Truthestic isn't just about looking at what people do. It's about looking underneath it, see the mind, then see the truth. The first rule is simple. If someone desperately needs your answer immediately, slow down. Think about how often pressure comes disguised as urgency. Decide now. This is your only chance. Don't overthink it. Everyone else already agreed. If you really cared, you wouldn't need time to think. Notice what's happening. The person isn't necessarily proving that their request is good. They're trying to make thinking itself feel wrong. Just create space. Say, "I'll think about it," or "Let me get back to you." That tiny sentence creates something incredibly valuable: time. And time changes everything. Because emotional pressure works best when there's no space between feeling and action. You feel guilty, you say yes, you feel afraid, you agree, you feel excited, you commit. But when you create a pause, your emotions have time to settle. And suddenly you can ask, do I actually want this? That's when the decision becomes yours again. Here's a strange habit many people have. We don't just say no. We build a defense case. I can't because I have homework. I would, but I'm tired. Actually, I have to. Maybe because... And suddenly, your boundary has become a negotiation. You give one reason, they solve the reason. You give another, they solve that one too. Eventually, you're not deciding whether you want to do something. You're trying to convince another person that your decision is legally valid. You don't always need to. A respectful, "No, I can't," can be enough. You can be kind without becoming available. You can care about someone without agreeing to everything they ask. And most importantly, you don't need someone else's permission to have a boundary. This doesn't mean you should refuse everything. It means your yes should come from choice, not pressure. And pay attention to what happens after you say no. A healthy person might say, "Okay." Maybe they're disappointed. That's normal. But if someone repeatedly tries to wear you down, guilt you, insult you, or make you afraid of the consequences of saying no, that's information. Not proof of manipulation by itself, but information. And learning to notice information is one of the most underrated forms of self-protection. Guilt is complicated. Sometimes guilt is useful. If you hurt someone, guilt can tell you to take responsibility. But sometimes, guilt gets weaponized. Imagine hearing, "After everything I've done for you, you've changed. I guess I can't count on you anymore." If you really cared, these statements might come from genuine hurt. They might also be used to pressure you. The important question isn't, is this person manipulating me? The better question is, what is this emotion making me want to do? That's a very different question. Because maybe you don't actually want to agree. Maybe you simply want the uncomfortable feeling to disappear. And those are two completely different motivations. Try this. When you suddenly feel guilty during a decision, pause. Don't immediately fix the guilt. Observe it. Ask, did I actually do something wrong? Or, do I simply feel uncomfortable because someone doesn't like my decision? That distinction can change your life. Because sometimes guilt is a signal, and sometimes it's just pressure wearing an emotional mask.